Hello everyone and welcome to the start of our sunrise safari. It is not really a very good sunrise this morning. We have grey overcast clouds and it's a little bit on the kind of cool side. So it'll be an interesting morning to see what's kind of taken place. It's obviously when weather like this closes in, it's often very good conditions for our cats to have been hunting during the course of the night. Now, my name is Tristan and on camera I have Fergus and we are live and interactive, and that means that you can get hold of us. And so it's a very big thank you to all of you that let me know about Tingana at the elephant carcass at some point early in the early hours of this morning. So we're on our way there to go and try and follow up. But if you are like those people and want to interact with us, remember hashtag Safari Live on Twitter or the YouTube chat. Good. Now, like I say, our plan for the morning is to try and head towards the elephant carcass, try and see what's happening. We did just have two hyenas that bolted past us, and we were hoping to start the show with them, but they just didn't want to have any of it. They wanted to get out of here, and so both of them went running northwards. Unfortunately, I was hoping they were going to come to one of these wallows and just have a little lie down like they often do after feeding, but these two decided, nope, they are going to carry on and head off towards the northern side. So interesting that they're taking that route. I didn't think they would go that way, and most of the hyena tracks we see go to the west. So a little different that we're seeing some hyenas going to the northeast. Anyway, I'm not the only one out here. Our fashionista Brent Leo Smith is also out and about this morning, and he's rearing to say hello.
Yes, I've been described as many things in my life. A fashionista is not one of them. Good morning, everyone. My name is Brent Leo Smith. I have the incredible, Wandering Wildebeest. It's the Wandering Wildebeest on camera with me today. And the reason Tristan is referring to me as a fashionista, because I've got new shoes. There we go. Oh, wild dog tracks. Going west towards Chitwa driveway. That means that they're coming west. They're coming towards us. Hold on! Wild dogs? I haven't seen wild dogs in over a year. Remember, hashtag Safari Live if you have any questions. This is completely live and real. And I'm very excited because wild dogs are my favorite animal. Shanae. Confirm you said heading west on Gary Man. Copy, thanks. I'm coming down Gary Man on my way to Chitwa. I'll keep checking from Shibamu down towards Twin Dam side as well. Okay, so the wild dog tracks are heading west into Chitwa. And that is very exciting because I have not seen wild dogs in so long. VM, I could do with a bit of wild dog in my life. You? Yes, VM won't accept the fact we're not going to look at cats because dogs are better than cats. Hey, VM? No. VM is very much a cat person. That's why I said that. Now, there's a good chance those dogs will pop out on Gari Main. If not, they might have crossed into Djuma. So I'm just going to let Tristan know, who's also in this area, to keep a lookout. While I chat to Tristan on the radio, we're going to send you across to the loudest bird in the hen hock, Tayla McCurdy.
I bet there's some competition. Right, everybody, my name is Tayla McCurdy, aka apparently the loudest bird in the whole of the Sabi sand, and on camera with me is the quietest, Craig, aka Batman Butternut Craig. Sometimes he even goes by Craigie Baby, but that's, you can only call him that if you know him. Right, for those of you that have never joined us on a safari, it is fabulous to have you on board today. I don't know if I can say it like that, but anyways, we'll just go with it. We are doing a boundary patrol. Now, it is important to sometimes check the boundaries to see what has gone out and what has come in to a property. We know the Nkuhumas disappeared off to the west, and we had 3 different leopards going to the south and to the west last night. So let's keep our fingers crossed that, well, at least one of them will return. I'm hoping for the lions. Craig is also hoping for the lions. as we've been seeing far too many leopard. I'm just joking. There's no such thing as seeing far too many leopard, is there? But so far, no luck. Just lots and lots of hyena activity. But yes, I really hope that Brent manages to get some wild dogs. He's been talking about it for I can't tell you how long. I actually don't think he speaks any other language anymore. He just kind of says wild dogs, wild dogs, wild dogs, wild dogs, asking you to pass the salt, or perhaps what's for dinner. Wild dogs just comes out of his mouth. So that's what we've been dealing with in camp for the moment. Oh, Craig's a bit bumpy there. A little bit. We are on this boundary, which is known for its corrugations. We shall try and avoid them, because then I'll really sound like a robot. Oh wow, look at that, Craig. That's actually quite pretty. Look at that. The sun is desperately trying to break through the cloud cover, and I think it might win today. Now, with regards to your question about if there's any invasive or alien species in this area, in terms of plants, there are plenty. Well, unfortunately, it doesn't bring me joy to say something like that, but there are lots of efforts to try and remove things like prickly pear, see bougainvilleas and things growing around the lodges. What other alien plant species? Sometimes the odd wattle from Australia sneaks on in, but they are constantly removing those types of plant species. I'm trying to think in terms of mammals. I don't think we've got any mammals in this area that are particularly invasive. There are two birds, the crows and the ravens, that are an absolute nightmare. That shouldn't occur in this area, but they do, and they cause big competitions for other birds. I've seen them chasing away vultures and things like that off of carcasses, which is a little bit frustrating, so they try and get rid of them when they can. And then, well, in the cities, as you can imagine, there's a variety of pigeons and doves that shouldn't be around that have been introduced. Parakeets, also down on the east coast. You can see them on Joburg. You sometimes see. I don't know if they're parakeets or lovebirds, but you hear them all the time. They shouldn't be there. And the good old myna, the common myna, which is an absolute nightmare. I've also seen them very destructive within the cities. Again, a huge competition for all the other birds that should occur around there. Luckily, they haven't crept their way this far north and started invading the game reserves. But to be honest, it's only a matter of time, isn't it? So there are a couple of things that shouldn't be here. Who is walking here? No one, because they're not clear. It's just tire tracks. So still no luck, unfortunately. And we check some of the sort of... No, I can smell something now. Smells like popcorn. But where are the leopard tracks that go with it? It could also be a genet. Genet urine often smells like popcorn too. I don't see any of their tracks, unfortunately. But again, as Tristan pointed out, it's exceptionally cloudy and is going to make it quite difficult for us to track. It actually looks like it's going to rain behind us, but it's moving to the west, which is perfect. Okay, so I'm just going to keep an eye out here, because there's some more really big animal pathways that the various animals will use to move around on. There's lots of chatter on the radio. What are they talking about? Let's listen. Oh, wait, let me ask Rex, and I heard something about lions. Rex for Tayla? Let's have a quick chat with him. I'm so sorry, Rex, my radio is down. What did you say about the Ngala and Konzo? Okay, copy. I've just done Vertella access and I'm on Triple M now. Sadly, no luck just yet, but maybe come double check because it was quite dark when I went up here. Okay, so Rex has got the same idea as me this morning in terms of him wanting to find the lions, and he wants to check down towards the gates and up Triple M. And I think it is a good idea if he sort of tails behind me. The light is improving a lot at the moment, so it's making it very easy for me to spot tracks on the road. But further down towards the gate, it was basically pitch black. And because it is quite a busy road, there are often a lot of transfer vehicles coming out for guests that are transferring out relatively early. Normally the Mauritius flight is like ridiculous time. It's like 7 o'clock in the morning that you have to be at the airport. And then you need to leave these game reserves at like 4 a.m., 3 a.m. And they could have driven over all those tracks quite easily. Because, they go that way and then they got to come back again. And they're not doing it on purpose. They're not looking for animal tracks because they are not safari guides. They are transferring the guests. Still nothing. I'm shocked. I should probably also look into the bushes, hey, because it doesn't mean that they're going to be on the road. They could be getting ready to cross the road. It's so bumpy. Hold on, Craig. Very, very quiet this morning, Craig. Did you sleep well? Okay. Not fabulously. No, you didn't sleep too well. Ooh. Now, obviously you heard me chatting about Rexon and Karen. You've asked, who is he? Rexon is one of the safari guides for Djuma Private Game Reserve. He also helps us out with our bushwalks every now and then, but he's currently guiding some private guests. He also does all the habitat for Djuma and I believe the surrounding game reserves, or like the land within the Sabi Sand, and helps them out with a sort of habitat management, restoring areas, closing roads, opening up new ones, closing watering holes, ones that aren't necessarily needed. Who's here? Who is walking here? Let me see. Bring out the old spotlight. I don't actually know. Could just be an old track because it's not really hyena. Just hyena tracks everywhere. They've been busy lately. It's been really nice to have the hyenas on the property. Very nice indeed. We've almost seen them every single day, which is quite cool. What's that now? See, now I can actually... Here, reverse. I wish this car was voice command. It would be so much easier. Okay, what are those ones? What a surprise. Hyena, also. Last night they were very chirpy. I don't know if any of you are watching the carcass cam, but Craig and I actually stopped on our way home. There were about 3 that were whooping. Big hyenas walking around here. So, it's always a nice sound to hear. Definitely a typical sound of Africa. Yeah, this is just the hyenas going up and down. Sadly, no lions just yet. I don't think that they've crossed in. Maybe they've found themselves a tasty buffalo in the west, which I'll be happy for. I'll be happy. Doesn't matter if we can't see them, as long as they've got a meal. That's the most important. Okay, well, there's been lots of talk about fashion icons and camp, obviously Sensor being the main fashion icon. Tristan made a mistake by dubbing me the fashionista yesterday. However, I'm going to pass that title on to Brent, Leo Miss. He hasn't got just that name now. He's also now the Diva Queen.
Tayla, there's only one diva at Safari Live, and its surname ends in McCurdy. Okay, so there's some wild dog tracks here. I'm just going to have a quick look to see if they go into Djuma or they go into Little Gowrie. Oh dear. There we go. So I saw a wild dog track here. There. Squirrel's alarm calling. Now, of course, Tingana's tracks are also around here. I'm just trying to make sure that these dogs didn't... Because dogs can often just change direction quickly. They didn't, unfortunately. But I did hear, since the dogs have left, that there were tracks of a female leopard coming across here. Now, this is very interesting. I mean, the leopard dynamics at the moment are in absolute storm. We just don't know what's going on. Thandi and Shadulu fighting. Now, this, it's possible that if Kalamba is dead, which Tristan and I suspect, just due to Thandi's behavior when Tristan had her the other afternoon, that, oh, very cute. Baby hippo track. It's about the same size as a male lion track. You see it there, VMP. Oh, there, a little bit up. Yeah. There's a little baby hippopotamus. And let me just show you the wild dog track quickly. And unfortunately, they go into Little Gowrie. But there are the dog tracks there. And you can see, compared to our hyena track, they're a lot more narrow. A lot more elongated. And you can see the claws coming out the front. Okay, now apparently there's leopard tracks around here somewhere as well. So this is the junction to be at this morning. Let's have a look, see if we can find these female leopard tracks. So they're saying Tundi might skedaddle this way after that fight with Shidulu, especially if Kalamba is dead. And it's going to be interesting to see, she might even push her daughter. Oh, hang on. Ali, at JC Brink, I'd like to join you. Surprise for you, and Tristan's also got another surprise. So let's go find out what Tristan's surprise is first.
Indeed we do. So we've managed to find the old Duke of Djuma, who has kind of come back into the southern part over the last couple of days and has been investigating the elephant carcass. And we're actually nowhere near the elephant carcass at the moment. We're down in the Muluwati, which is a massive surprise that Jigga has even managed to get a signal here. And he's a tired boy. He's kind of just sleeping. In fact, when we drove up, he didn't even move. It was only when we kind of turned off and started speaking a little bit that he decided to kind of lift his head. So he's having a bit of a snooze here. It doesn't look like he's really eaten much, and I'm not surprised given that the elephant carcass has really got nothing on it for him anymore. He's a couple days late, I'm afraid. If he had come here maybe 4 or 5 days ago, he might have got himself a really good meal out of that carcass and might have helped him a little bit. But he's still looking okay, though. I mean, he's obviously a little bit thinner than what he should be, and that's typical of an older leopard, and I'm sure he'll come back from it and still be able to kind of survive for the next couple months and years, hopefully. And it's interesting how his kind of movement is so small these days. He used to be a male that used to roam massive areas. We used to see him going from Nkoro to Simambili to Arathusa, Elephant Plains, and all the way through Djuma into Buffelshoek and even Manyeleti. Now, with Tingana, you see he kind of goes from Chitwa to Little Gowrie to Chitwa to Little Gowrie to Chitwa, and kind of a little bit into Djuma every now and then. So his range of movement has been severely reduced, and that's probably because one is he's probably not feeling great and has had a tough time of it trying to recuperate, and two, a situation where he's unfortunately got a lot of pressure from other males, and that's probably meant that he can't move nearly as much as he used to. He's got Hukamuri on his west, Gajima on the north, he's got Quarantine also in the northeast, he's got Kanyuma to the south. There's a couple of these new males that are around, and that means that he's really kind of restricted in where he can go, and so he's being much like Mvula and is almost living this kind of retirement lifestyle where he knows that Chitwa Dam is a good place for him to find food and to hunt. There's a couple of the young males that he can sometimes rob of their carcasses from time to time, and that means, you know, he can at least survive and get himself a little stronger. But definitely getting into the sort of twilight of his career, unfortunately. It's always sad when you see an animal getting to this point, but they have to get there at some point. It's like all of us. We all have to get older, and it's just kind of the way it goes with the leopards and with animals itself. And yes, I know, Rebecca, it's not depressing at all, but it's the fact of life. And right, now, I'm going to sit here with Tingana for a while and see what he gets up to and see whether or not he moves. And while we do that, let's go across to Brent. And it sounds like Brent, you might have a younger individual to show you.
And all we've managed to find is grass. But wait, in the grass is Hosana. Hello, little man. He looks like he's had a rough night. Long Easter weekend, sleeping off the underindulgence in his case. He was looking quite hungry the last time I saw him. It's difficult to see how full he is from this angle. We will check again just now, but he's not breathing heavily or panting heavily like he's had a big meal. And there we go. But he is in prime position at the moment, because if we look off to the right, no more than about 60 meters away is a herd of impala who are definitely unaware of his presence at the moment, but he's about as interested in them. He's just interested in having a nap at the moment. But that can change incredibly quickly with big cats. They can go from fast asleep to wide awake in an absolute split second. Now we have Ali to thank for the sighting. She found him. We can hear some squirrels back up to the north. Now, a very good morning, David. David, unfortunately, there are no updates on the new mail just yet. I think the last update was that they crossed into the western sections, and I haven't heard anything yet this morning. If we do hear anything, David, you will be the first to know. Now, I think those squirrels are shouting at possibly a bird of prey. I don't think they've seen Hosana. They sound like they're a bit far away. Oh, it's tired kitty. I think this is the spot where he destroyed Ronald. Somewhere around here. This is where Ronald met its match. The lovely thing about this area of Chitwa is that we've got Hosana here, but it is not unlikely that we might suddenly spot another leopard. You know what I think we should do, Vim? Should we move around to in front of Ali? That way we can look at Hosana and embarrass Ali at the same time. Now, a very, very good question posed by Hunter is that how do we tell the age of a leopard when we meet a new one? Well, Hunter, to be completely honest, we guess. And then there's a bunch of groups around amongst the guides where we put photos up of leopards we don't know or whatnot, and we're hoping that someone there can ID that leopard from somewhere. Okay. Let us see. He's still quite hungry, so he's definitely worth playing the patience game with this morning. Hello, little man. There we go. He looks like he might have eaten something. So after drive to, not last night, the night before, he managed to kill a scrub hare, which is not much of a meal for a leopard of his size and his growing nature. I think you can see how long his whiskers are. They're pretty. Oh. Now, as I say, these impala haven't seen Hosana, and the squirrels are going nuts. And there were tracks of a female leopard coming in this general area, so I wonder if there's another female. But, of course, someone is looking very sprightly this morning. Come on, Vim. Let's do a super zoom on Ali. Ali, smile. There we go. There we go. Fortunately, you can't hear what she's saying because the microphone's close to me. She's talking nonsense as usual. She's gabbling in Venezuelan. We can't understand a word Ali is saying. She's talking absolute nonsense. No, I'm only teasing. She did find us the leopard, so thank you, Ali. But yes. So, as I said, the interesting thing about this area is that, well, you know what? Those impala are alarming. While Ali is looking after Hosana for us, I'm just going to go quickly have a look where that impala is alarming behind us. I just want to listen a little bit more carefully because we are about to get into the rutting season. So 90% of the impala are looking very relaxed. But the rutting season is starting, so there can be random snorts as they chase each other about. But in the meantime, let us go see what Madam McCurdy is up to.
Oh, my goodness. Craig, look what I've spotted. Oh, hello. Oh, no, come back. There was some mating turtle doves. And then there was another one that flew on in and disturbed them. Let's see if we can get them again. They're just fluttering around. We should be able to get a view of them. They're being disturbed. That's very rude. I don't know where they've gone now, Craig. Everybody's flying away from us today. No, I think they've moved off. They've gone to another tree. Okay. Oh, well, we'll keep trying. We'll just keep trying. Might not be our day today for animals. That's okay. Yesterday we had a fantastic day seeing all those leopards. But I have yet to see a leopard track or even a lion track. Just lots of hyena footprints. Maybe the hyenas will show themselves. So that's maybe what we'll look for. We passed Treehouse Dam. It was empty. Not even a blacksmith lapwing there today. Can you believe it? I couldn't. I was quite shocked, in fact. Actually, I think yesterday there weren't any blacksmith lapwing there either. So we'll just check along these drainage lines. Because, well, that's where the leopards like to move around and lots of food around there. And we'll keep on searching. I'd like to see some giraffe. That would be another nice thing. I bet you'd all be quite excited to see a couple of giraffe. Nice. Not necessarily just a big giraffe bull. I'm going to be specific here. I would like to see a young giraffe calf. That's what I need in my life. A little giraffe. Remember those sweet ones we'd see in the Mara? That was so precious. Rebecca would like to see a waterbuck. She's very demanding this morning, so we better give her what Bex wants, Bex gets. Normally how it happens in Camp, hey, Craig? Yeah, pretty much. No one says no to her. Everyone's too scared to say no to her. So we'll find you a waterbuck quickly before I get wrapped around the knuckles. Watch. That won't even be possible today. I know it. I know the animals are they're having their April Fool's joke a little bit later, which is fine. Good thinking. Let's see, there's some tracks here, but I think they're just hyenas. Hyena leaving all the tracks in the ground. Yes. It's not even that nice to show you any either. It'd be hard with this light to actually see a track properly. Jonathan, it isn't that cold. In fact, I think it's about 21 degrees Celsius, so it's quite warm to start your morning off. It's just because of the very eerie sky. I mean, I have my scarf on and I have this little thingy on, but it's nice. It's fresh. It's a bit muggy. I'm hoping that these clouds do burn away. Otherwise, I think it's going to be quite humid, which is never nice. So let's hope that doesn't happen. I think we might even try and do some birding. So perhaps we will go to some of the sort of roads that cut along the drainage lines and have a look. Here's the question. It brings tears to my eyes, Emily. Where are the zebra? Everybody's asking, where are the zebra? I don't know where they are. I have absolutely no idea. We all think that they've gone north, which they normally do. I was actually just telling Craig now about the vegetation between Orpin Gate and Satara in the Kruger National Park, which is just north of us. And there's obviously some wooded areas, but most of it is like these beautiful open grasslands, where big open grassy areas with grass taller than the top of my head. And I reckon they've gone there to feast upon that. And once all that goes down, and I think that's where the elephants have gone too, they'll probably start making their way back south. Oh, the hyenas were running up and down this road. Maybe we're going to get one in a mud wallow here. So if we find zebra tracks, Emily, I promise you I will get out the car and I'll track them. We will try to find some zebra, but we aren't even able to find them today. I mean, find their tracks these days, sorry. So there are some mud wallows coming up. Maybe someone will be sitting in there. Like it to be some hyena. Just keep our eyes open. Shall we sneak around the corner so we don't surprise anyone? Ta-da! Nothing! Yay! This is going to be the best safari ever! I can't wait. Where the birds? There's not even a bird that wants to sit still that we can have a look at. No, Rebecca, I do not want to do some mud art this morning. Thank you very much. I'm okay with only having bilharzia twice. I don't want to have it a third time, and by dipping my finger into that water, I'm telling you right now, I'm going to be very, very sick. No, I also do not want to take the bilharzia tablets. She wants me to do it. She's just going to cure me. You're not Captain Doctor, Rebecca. That's VM's title. Remember, Captain Dr. VM. That's what he likes to be referred to now. So sassy this morning, and it's not even Saturday. It's Wednesday. It's wonderful Wednesday. A wacky Wednesday, I suppose we can do that. I suppose wacky every day. Okay, let's check Chele Pan. Let's try this one. Maybe we'll get lucky here. For even a dove coming down for a drink. Let's check. Should we do it again? Nothing. Look at all the insects on the water, though. That's cool. Look at them go. Should we go to the edge of the pan, Craig? Maybe we'll find a water spider. I think we're actually going to have to. Oi, oi, oi. Oh, there's a little three-banded plover. First sighting of the day. Don't fly away. I'm going to try it. There it is. Hello. That's quite nice. Well, it seems to be enjoying all the insects that are on the water this morning. Lots of them. Actually, there's too many of them. You're going to be full very quickly. It's funny how on some birds the crop is more prominent than others. Like on a vulture, you can clearly see how much they've eaten. It's a little bit more difficult with these smaller birds. But pecking away, as they do. Yum, yum, yum. I hope you get a bigger treat, though. You know what I also wonder? I want to know, because it wouldn't put it past me if a very large terrapin tried to snatch up a bird walking on the end of the water like this. I wonder how often that actually happens, or little crocodiles successfully catching these small birds that wade in water. I've never seen it before. I've only seen crocodiles eating fish and then catching wildebeest and other animals that cross the dangerous rivers. And I've also seen them feeding on elephant carcasses and hippo carcasses that are in the rivers. But I've never seen one leap out of the water and try and catch a bird. But that would be quite cool. I'm surprised they don't do it more often because they become so relaxed. It's walking now. Peck, peck. They're funny little birds to watch. And I bet it's very happy that there aren't any blacksmith lapwings around to bother it. Is that little bird making that noise, or is there something else chirping? I can hear chirp, chirp. But I don't know if it is that bird. I'm trying to leave it. If it's opening its beak. No. Oh, what you got? What's that? A grasshopper. Yes, it is. Catch it. That's a big grasshopper. No, go back. That'll be a delicious meal. Deciding that it's too big. Maybe it was just trying to help it out the water. I highly doubt that. Oh, do you hear that, Craig? Those birds that were shouting. Sounded like there were some Franklins that got a fright. So we might go all the way down Twin Dams Road to see what was going on. Oh, it's going back for the grasshopper. Yay! It just pulled it out the water. Go back and eat it. You'll love that. That was funny, the way it went back to save it. Again, I don't think that it went to save that grasshopper. I think that grasshopper is sadly on its way out. It's just curious and investigating and, well, contemplating trying to eat something like that. But as you can see, it's got a very small beak, and I don't think it will be able to open its beak wide enough to swallow a grasshopper of that size. Right, we're going to go investigate what those birds were shouting at, and I'm going to send you to Tristan, who's watching a very sleepy Tingana.
I am watching Sleepy Tea, but not a cup of Sleepy Tea. It's our spotted cat, Tingana, that is still very, very, very snoozy. And there's a car that's come in and he didn't even lift his head to have a look at them. So he's taking it very easy this morning. I suppose he had an eventful night, if you think about it. He was at the elephant carcass early yesterday evening, got chased by hyenas, then he went off, then he came back again in the early hours of the morning, probably had a few hyenas lurking about and giving him a bit of trouble, and so I think he's in a situation where he's probably a little bit on the sort of nap side because, well, it's been a long, long evening and he's had to deal with lots of naughty hyenas chasing him about and all of those kind of things. So, also, he's getting older. I suppose he's earned his rest given the life that he's had and the important role that he played. And it's actually amazing how a dominant male leopard can kind of completely sort of keep an area as safe as he did. If you think about how many male leopards we've had arrive now since Tingana's kind of gone off the boil, so to speak, it gives you an idea of just how much work they do and how much they are covering ground, vocalizing, scenting, and how that actually keeps the area safe for females. You always underestimate that males just plod along and they do their thing and they vocalize here and there and they scent mark, and you would think that doesn't really actually do very much. But when you think about it and you see what's happened over the course of the last little bit and you see how things have changed in the last little kind of while, and you realize just how much work Tingana was doing and how much his movement and his vocalizing and his scent marking and the kind of incessant ways that he did it actually protected this area and made it a safe area for all of the females that are around. It's kind of, I suppose, like I say, he's deserved his rest and earned his rest by the kind of work that he did when he was a younger individual, and he kept a lot of different cubs safe for long periods of time, so he's definitely done quite well. It's a shame. He's not the same Tingana that we knew this time last year, that's for sure. He's a very different sort of cat in terms of his look, his condition, even his demeanor. He's almost become kind of meek and mild compared to this feisty, busy leopard that we used to see last year this time. But I don't think he's going to move too much today. He's got perfect weather just to sit and relax. It's kind of overcast. So, Christy, we think that with Tandi's cub, the reason that it may no longer be around is the behavior of Tandi herself. It is a situation where Tandi has spent the better part of 6 months hiding from males, not vocalizing, not scent marking, not doing too much. Now, I'll get back into this, but let's send you across to Brent for a hippo.
Well, there we go. It's a late comer. He's the party animal of the hippos at Chitwa, having a late night party, coming home with the sunrise. And you can see the oxpeckers are already taking advantage of the hippo coming in late. There's guinea fowls alarming behind us. Are they flying, Vim? Yes, they are. Something has made the guinea fowls fly, which means it's not a bird of prey, as they wouldn't fly. They would try to stick to the ground with birds of prey. And Hosana has popped his head up, and that is probably from the noise of the guinea fowls. As I said, this area is can be very productive with leopard. But at the moment, Hosana is eyeing out some impalalas that are, unfortunately for him, a bit far out in the open. And there's the party animal coming home late. Let's hope hippo doesn't spot Hosana. It might chase Hosana, but I think it's going to be far more concerned about heading back to the safety of the water. Okay, should pop out the other side of this bush in a few seconds. Hosana has definitely spotted the hippo. That is watching the hippo intently. No, don't do it. It's too big for you, Hosana. I know you dream about catching hippos and elephants and giraffe, but they're just out of your league at the moment, young man. Oh, there we go. The hippo is out. I'm just going to quickly catch up with the hippo so we can see it. Because often they get quite excited and dash into the water at the last sec. Oh, we're going to be too late. It's already running. We're going to be too late. They do that little run into the water right at the last second. It gives us a good opportunity to get a better look at our little prince. Hello, Mr. Man. Now, are you still tired? You're hungry. I can see you're hungry, but you are looking still a little bit tired. I didn't catch the name there, please, Rebecca. Girl in the something was wondering what happens if you in the curl. Yeah, girl in the curl is wondering what happens if you meet a hippo on bushwalk. You become very, very cautious. You try avoid it, walk around it, move it. But hippos on foot can be very, very dangerous, and they are prone to... Oh, shame, poor boy. He's got a tick on his top lip. Yeah, why don't you just go grab that off there for a second, please? Let's get rid of that. It's ruining the shot. Get rid of the tick. Yeah, I'll watch. But it is very dangerous, sorry, girl in the curl, to meet a hippo on foot. You treat them very similarly to what you would treat buffalo on foot. With great caution, or ellies for that matter. Well, it seems we are all alone now. We are the only ones playing the patience game with Hosana, because I think he's going to move again because he is quite hungry. Oh, pretty feet. In the meantime, let's go let Tristan finish his thoughts on Kalamba.
Well, as we were talking about just now, we were saying that in all likelihood, Tandi's behavior is what's kind of led us to believe that that little one is no longer around. She went from 6 months of basically hiding and not making her presence known and keeping that little one as hidden as possible to a situation where she was brazen about what she was doing. She was walking, she was scent marking every single bush that she could come across. And she was way out of the areas that she normally walks. I have never seen Tandi on Shibamu before. It's my first time to see her in that area, and so it's a situation where she's kind of outside of her territory. She's scent marking on top of a known threat in the form of hukumuri to her cub, as well as a female. And so that kind of behavior is not of a female that is still got a cub, because that's going to attract so much attention to her. And Hukumuri, if he comes along, is going to pick up the scent that there's been a female there, and he's going to try and track her down. Now, a female, like I say, a female that's got that cub who knows that there's males around here that she's not mated with is not going to run that risk to try and scent mark on top of his scent mark to try and attract him towards her. So that's why we kind of are surmising that it's not a common behavior to see from a leopard with a cub. And in my experience, all the kind of females that I've seen marked like that when they've had cubs have been ones that have lost their cubs. So it's an interesting kind of thing, and we'll kind of see how it goes. Maybe she's just trying to reestablish a boundary because Shadulu was moving in so much, but I don't think so. I mean, we haven't seen evidence of Shadulu pushing Tandi in any way. We haven't seen Shadulu crossing the Mulawati system, which is where Tandi's been hanging around, and that means that she's actually had it very easy from pressure of females. It's more male pressure than anything. So lioness, no, the cub is not old enough to look after itself, I'm afraid. It's only 6 months old, so it can't hunt yet, it can't find food for itself, it also can't defend itself. If that little cub comes across hyenas, comes across leopard, lions, it's going to have a really, really tough time of it. So the chances of a cub at 6 months old surviving is almost zero. And that's why you probably find that, no, she is not kind of doing that because the cub can look after herself. I highly doubt it. It would be the first time for me to see a leopard do that for a cub. I mean, most of the time they try and protect their cubs as much as possible through the course of the first year until that cub is able to kind of fend for itself and find food for itself. Generally, they try not to bring too much attention. It's a completely different scenario to what you saw from Kruger. Kruger, yes, she would have marked territory, but she also had a stable male that was within that territory. She had very little pressure from females. Tundi and Shadow, she had both pushed out, and so she had kind of just a situation where she was just redefining her boundaries every now and then when she did a patrol while going out hunting for the cubs. And Tingana was doing the rest. This time with Tundi, she doesn't have that opportunity. She doesn't have a male that's dominant in this area that's looking after her section. She's having to try and come up with ways herself, and the chances of that cub surviving was almost zero given the amount of males that are around. She just, everywhere she goes, she's going to bump into males that she hasn't mated with, and that means she's going to have a really tough time of it. If you think about quarantine, Djuma, Hukamuri, the 2 new males that have been seen this week, that's already 5 different male leopards that are not ones she mated with, and that means that she's got almost no chance in terms of keeping it alive. Now, Emily, in terms of the sort of mourning of cubs, you will find a female, I don't know if it's mourning, but I suppose it is. She'll go along and she'll call and she'll look and she'll try and find it for a day, 2 days. It depends on the female. Some females, if they see it happen, then they just kind of back off immediately and they actually don't call for that cub at all. They'll just carry on with business as usual and kind of move along because they've seen that cub being taken and they know that it's the sort of finality of that. If they don't see what happens to the cub, then yes, they do walk around, they do call, they do try and find those cubs and try and kind of look for them for at least 2-3 days, and then they kind of move on. So it's difficult to say with Tundi. I mean, she might have been there when if the cub got killed, she might have been in there and seen what happened and just kind of moved off and knew that there's no way she's going to get that cub back. And then it's back to kind of scent marking, back to trying to find territory and defining her territory again. And I know it sounds really harsh, but that's their instinct. Their instinct is that they have to survive, they have to carry on, and they have to produce more cubs. And so they then go in search of males. Within 3 weeks, they're already starting to look for males to start mating again. In fact, there was a study that reckons that even after 6 days of losing a cub, they can start coming into their first little estrus cycle. Not that it's very successful in those first few days, but they can actually come into it in order just to try and defend themselves from encroaching males. So it's an interesting thing. I mean, whether or not it's kind of a situation where she is going to get up and that little one is dead, we don't know 100% sure, and we're just going on the behavior of Tundi and what we think, but we might be wrong. We might have a situation where hopefully we're wrong and that little one comes out, but I highly doubt it. For me, the behavior is just completely different to what we've been seeing. Right, well, Tingana's just decided he's going to get up and move. All of a sudden he's just up and striding off. You can see he's a little on the thinner side and definitely not the same bulky Tingana that we used to see. Right. Now, while Tingana kind of moves off and heads off into the thickets and we try and follow him, let's send you back across to Tayla, who's got a bird in a tree.
Thankfully, our birds are sitting relatively still on what is turning out to be a very gloomy, miserable morning. As the rain has come about, you can see the dark clouds as a backdrop behind the African green pigeons. So sadly, they're not going to look as beautiful as what they normally do. Firstly, we're quite far away from them, but also, like I said, there's no lovely rays of sunshine beaming down on them. And isn't this cool? Always like to see them. How many were there? 1, 2, 3. That's all I can see up in those trees. And I don't think they look like they're in the mood to do anything at the moment. Perhaps it is still early. And I'm sure a little bit later they'll set off on an adventure to try and find a tree that is fruiting. Well, we know that what is it called again? Brown ivory, I forgot for a minute. Brown ivory trees have got lots of fruit on them. We've been seeing the crested franklins eating off of the white berry bush. And the jackalberries should start producing fruit soon too. And there's still a couple of quarry trees that have got lovely fruits on them. So there's definitely a variety for them to pick from. But for now, they're just going to sit up there. They're lovely birds to sit and watch. Still not as good as that sighting we had the other day when they were in that jacket plum. It was quite cool. That's something we can maybe do today, is also check the jacket plum trees. There's quite a few of them on the property. and see if anybody's got any fruit on them. Oh, I think let's carry on. I can hear a spider hunting wasp flying around here. Where are you? Oh, it's going to be difficult to see. I'll look around that termite mound. Okay, let's go. Still no luck with any leopards or anything like that. We're just going to take it easy today, though. Have a little scratch around. Looking for those giraffe. Still looking for Rebecca's waterbuck and maybe an elephant or two. So I think we're going to go check the northern boundary from the eastern boundary to the north. And see if we can find the elephants. Ah. Yes, as you can imagine, we're going to be doing lots of wiping of the lens soon. With the rain that's starting to fall. Off you go to Brent to see what Hosana is now up to.
Where are you that it's raining? Because we are absolutely bone dry with the sun coming out to the east of us. So hopefully the rain stays wherever Tayla is and leaves VM and I alone, because VM and I are both firm believers in we don't like being wet. We like being dry. I'm quite comfortable at the moment. VM, you?
Yep.
Let's rain, stay with Tayla. Look, I mean, so the sun's coming out. Like, we've got no rain around us. So Tayla is almost, I'd say, due north of us at the moment. And it does look quite dark in that direction. Yeah, so Tayla's somewhere there. And let's hope that rain keeps either going north or west or anywhere except southeast, which is where we're sitting. We don't want rain. We want Hosana to wake up, though. Oh, such a pretty little boy. Last time we had him, he was dreaming. No, the last time, second last time we had him, he was having such funny dreams. You could see his eyes moving at high speed, and it was very nice. As I say, knowing Hosana, he was probably dreaming about hunting hippos or elephant or buffalo or rhino or giraffe, because I think in Hosana's mind he thinks he's as big as a Land Rover. Standing by, one station here, space for two, make your way. Sorry guys, there's a vehicle trying to get in here, so just quickly telling them that they can come in. And VM's giving you the body tour of our little chief. Well, let's go to his eyes again quickly. It looks like he might be dreaming again. Look at that. There's something happening in this brain of his. Now, mostly leopards are solitary muscle company. They don't live in family groups. There's only one social cat, and that is lions. One truly social cat. Most other cats will live solitary, unless they are mating or have cubs. And of course, occasionally you do have chance encounters. But look at him, he's dreaming again. Pretty little boy. You catch that hippo, Hosana. You catch that hippo. I just think he's dreaming about hippo because we're so close to the water here. He's in a very good spot because this area is got a plethora of general game around. Inyala, impala, waterbuck. Now the impala are moving out onto the big open area, which is going to make them more difficult for him to even attempt to hunt. But there are some inyala that we saw a little bit earlier just behind us, somewhere in the thickets, which are definitely far more up his alley. So the inyala were just behind here, where VM's showing now, in the thickets directly behind us. And you see one of them. There's still some impala out in the thickets. But for this very moment, our little chief is showing absolutely zero interest in any of the animals around, apart from the ones in his head. well. Muscle Company, another question. Great that you are getting those questions through. Is Muscle Company, leopards don't purr. So they are part of the Panthera family, which is sort of the big cat section of cats. And all the Pantheras, or the big cats, cannot purr, but they can roar. And all the smaller cats can purr, but can't roar. And that is to do with a specialized bone in their throat called the hyoid bone, or the hyoid apparatus. And in small cats, it's an ossified bone. It's a completely solid bone. And they cannot roar or make very loud noises. So they can purr, chirp, cheep, meow. However, the big cats that belong to the genus Panthera are able to roar because that hyoid bone is cartilaginous. It's not solid. It's elastic, and basically lion, leopard, snow leopard, tiger, and jaguar are able to push air over that cartilaginous hyoid apparatus, causing it to move and vibrate, and that's how they are able to make roars or saws, depending on which species. He's dreaming again. Now, don't start drooling, Hosana. That'll be very unbecoming. There's another tick in his ear there, Vim. There's more than one. There's a couple. So we've got at least 2 species of tick in his ear. Now, ticks on wild animals out in the bush is common occurrence, and most wild animals are actually immune to 99% of the tick-borne diseases. So what will happen is the ticks will just feed off, catch it. The ticks will feed off the animal's blood, and let's go back to the ear, and there's a big fat grey one there. And once they are completely sated, they'll just drop off and then go lay eggs in the grass. And that'll happen with all the different tick species. They'll just become full and then drop off, lay eggs, and then once they're finished digesting, they'll wait for the next unsuspecting animal to walk past before they clamber back on board. Now, rickettsia, or tick bite fever, is quite common in human beings that catch it. And there are different variations or strains of rickettsia. And generally, once you've had, well, it depends how many times you get bitten by ticks, which is, in our line of work, quite a lot. You can actually build immunity to the different strains. So most of us will be immune to the strain of tick bite fever from this area. I'm immune to the tick bite fever from northern Zululand, KwaZulu-Natal. So a lot of times you just get bitten by enough ticks. And it's quite important, if you do get tick bite fever or rickettsia, a lot of people choose to treat themselves, which is not the actual correct option with that, because if you just wait it out, you will have immunity to that particular strain of tick bite fever afterwards. It's not very pleasant, very bad headaches and nausea, but that only lasts for a couple of days, and once you sit out the first bout of tick bite fever without taking any medicine, you will build immunity to tick bite fever for that particular area. Now, I think I'm immune to Western Zambia, Northern Zululand, Southern Tanzania, all the areas that I've spent a lot of time walking and working. You can build up immunity to those different strains of tick bite fever. This guinea fowl is still going off behind the wall there. I'm going to sit here a little bit longer. We might just leave him while he's napping, like we went to look, because there's been an impala lawman calling, there's been squirrels, and the guinea fowl. And while we've got a flat leopard, Tristan's got a leopard on the move.
Well, Brent, he was on the move. He's now found himself another spot to sit down. I think he's heard some impalas that weren't too far away, and he came and had a little kind of look around just to see what's going on and to try and kind of maybe see if there was an opportunity to go for a bit of a hunt. But what he did on his way from the Mulawati to where we are now is super interesting. We had Tingana actually scent marking. Now, I haven't seen Tingana scent mark in ages, but he definitely urinated while scraping his back legs, which is an indication of a male scent marking, and doing it as a territorial marking, not as just urinating. If you watch Hosana and you watch Tamba, when they urinate, they don't scrape their back legs as much. Well, Hosana does these days, I suppose. He's starting to do it. But Tingana I haven't seen him do it in a while, and so interesting that he was doing it and was kind of scent marking in this area. It's going to be an interesting kind of thing to see how other leopards respond, given that one of the new males that have been seen this week was seen pretty much where we are now. In fact, maybe not even 100 meters south of where I am is where he was seen on Little Gowrie. We're right on the southern boundary, and so theoretically he's almost laying sort of a claim down and saying, this is still my area, you guys can still back off. But there's a little bit of blood on his cheek there as well. So you see there's a little bit of blood. So that's obviously from when he was trying to feed off the elephant carcass. Now Brent is telling me that he got an update that Hukamuri has just been found on Arathusa. So Hukamuri is on the western side. It's interesting that his behavior has changed a little bit too in the past few weeks. We had a situation where we were seeing Hukamuri almost daily walking past the dam and various other things. He's bumped into Hosana, and Hosana has been more on Djuma than Hukamuri has over that period, which is, to me, very interesting. I don't think Hosana chased him, and don't get me wrong, Hukamuri definitely was the aggressor in that sighting, but I wonder if Hukamuri in his head is just thinking, oh, hang on, there might be other leopards on this sort of side, and I need to be a little bit more careful. But he hasn't spent any time, really, on the Djuma side of things, and I know he's had a kill on Arathusa, Elephant Plains side that was robbed from him, but that was 2 days ago. So I would have thought with the commotion between Shadulu and whichever female it was, we think Tandi, you would have thought maybe he would have come that way and come to have seen what and investigated what's going on. So I'm very surprised that he hasn't been back onto Djuma since that kind of altercation with Hosana, but maybe he's had food and he's come across Shadulu, or he's come across other sort of leopards and he's being kept busy that side. Time will tell. But just interesting how Hosana didn't really seem to worry too much about it. He got out of there, but he's been seen back on Djuma 3-4 times since then, as opposed to Hukamuri, who hasn't come back onto the side at all, which is quite interesting. But I think Tingana is going to go through phases like this. I think he's going to be sleepy, and then he's going to get up and maybe start walking, and then sleepy and walking, sleepy, walking. I suppose it's the life of an older male. So Raccoon Mom, Tingana's adult surviving cubs would be Hosana for sure. Obviously Shongile we don't know. We don't know about Shadow's cub, where Shadow or her cub is, so difficult to say with those two. I'm just trying to think. Inkanye Vatumi's no longer with us, but that could have been quarantines as well. But he hasn't mated for Kuchava's cub that we haven't seen yet. She will be his. Well, Tandi's cub, we obviously don't think she's alive anymore, but theoretically could be Tandi's cub. Adult surviving ones, I'm just trying to think now who else there would be. I'm obviously missing a whole bunch, but I just can't actually think of them. I'm just trying to think of Karula's lineage, because Quarantine and Kunyuma were theoretically, maybe Tingana was involved there, and so we'll give him that kind of, maybe he's one of the fathers of those cubs. Remember that males in cubs, you can have multiple males from the same litter. If she mated with multiple males, you can get cubs. So we can say maybe Kunyuma or Quarantine, although Quarantine's a spitting image of Mvula, so I doubt it, but you never know, maybe Kunyuma. And then you had Shongile and Hosana, and we don't know what's happened to Shongile. Hosana is still here. I'm just trying to think. Shadow's lost besides the one that she has now. Tamba would be also theoretically Tingana's offspring, or what we think is Tingana's offspring. Like I say, Vatumi's dead. Who knows what leopards he sired in Buffalo's Hook, because these males just kind of come out of nowhere, and how many males he might have sired that side. Just trying to think from Salehesh's litters if he ever raised. I don't think he ever got a cub to maturity with Salahesh. Tiani was definitely Anderson's. That's it. So there's not actually that many for Tingana. Inchila would be also his offspring. So when he mated with Insele and got Inchila. Tsakani. I'm not sure about Tsakani. Maybe some of you can help me if Tsakani is Tingana's. That was Kwatile female, and I think he mated with her to get Tsakani, but I'm not 100% sure on that. So she would also be an adult female, but she's down in the Kruger Park area. Sindile would also be Tingana's. We don't know where he is. I'm just trying to think who else there could be. That's about it, actually. I can't think of any others. I'm probably forgetting lots, but you know how it goes sometimes. You kind of start to only remember the ones that you've seen recently, bar the ones that kind of have left the area or were born a while ago. But in terms of the young females, there's no young females that I can think of besides Inchila and Shongile and not Barbara. Those are all kind of his offspring, but none of them are actually still in the area, or Sakani as well. So it's very difficult to know exactly which ones he sired that are still in this section. Whereas the thing about Tingana is that, unfortunately for him, is that half his life was spent quite far west, and a lot of the cubs that he sired there just didn't make it due to Anderson coming in. And then he kind of came to the east, and he fathered a lot of cubs here. Well, not a lot, but I mean, he got the females that we had here pregnant. And then since then, there's obviously been this kind of changeover, and Karuda's kind of disappeared, and it's meant that, you know, he's had fewer females to mate with. And the ones that he has mated with now, obviously, have got through a situation where they've got to try and now defend their cubs against intruding males. So it's not been an easy period. And remember that a female has cubs, and if Karula hadn't disappeared, in all likelihood, she would have been out of kind of commission, if you want to call it that, for close to 2 years, which in a male leopard's life is a long period. As you've seen with Tingana, a year ago, you would never think that we'd be sitting here at this time talking about his frail condition that he's been through over the course of the last few months. So, you know, 2 years is a long time, and unfortunately that's what happens when they raise cubs successfully. There's fewer cubs than you would actually think. It's actually funny enough, on thinking about males and cubs and all of these kind of things, there's quite sad to see. I saw some photos yesterday of the Majingalan coalition, or what's left of the Majingalan coalition, and it was quite sad to see how much they've aged and how frail they're looking as well. So a lot of our legends in terms of big males, unfortunately, are slowly disappearing in both lion and leopard world. Anyway, new ones will come, and new life will be put through, and new legends will be born. And so while we're thinking about all of these things, let's send you across to Tayla McCurdy, who I'm sure will brighten up the day with something maybe a little bit more lighthearted.
I hope so, because it's a little bit miserable at the moment with the rain. It's like a heavy drizzle. It's bizarre, and I don't know if Tristan and Brent are getting wet, but we're starting to look a little bit on the damp side. I did not bring any rain attire with me today. Whoops. Oh well. And typical, it's because my hair's clean, then I'm going to have to wash it again, and it's going to go frizzy. Yay, all those fun things. Okay, Rebecca, are you ready for a few gremlins? But just a few. Okay, we're doing that thing where we go to Buffelshoek Dam, and then they try to attack us, but we normally beat them. But I may start jumping up and down. I don't know the karate chop, says Rebecca. Craig's gonna wipe the gremlins away. Did it work, Rebecca? Not even one gremlin. I went disco, apparently. I should have danced, but I didn't. Cool, I'm going to show you some hippos now. No, rain, please go away. Oh, there's a heron. That's more exciting. I've got to find the game drive volume to turn it off. There we go. There is a grey heron standing in the water. He's been quite deep today. Normally they don't venture too far in. A little bit dangerous for them, like I was saying. There's crocodiles and things in here. Well, now you're going to also see how it's raining. Craig, this is not very nice, is it? I mean, this is not ideal. I hope it's not going to get harder than this, because then we may have to try and find some shelter. But But this could work to that heron's benefit, though, having raindrops on the water. That if it does move around, maybe it will fool the fish and other frogs and things that it may be eating. Now, this bird that we're looking at makes beautiful big nests, and they often nest in colonies with lots of other birds, just like the egrets up in trees making platform nests. So, YT viewer, there are many birds that nest on the floor. So you often find things like, they actually live around the water. I can't see any blacksmith lapwings though. Craig, there is a 3-banded plover. You see where the Egyptian geese are in the middle. If you go sort of, I can't stretch my arm. If you go a little bit to the right, there it is. There's a little 3-banded plover. So YT viewer, there we go. That's a bird that nests on the ground. They don't even make a nest. They make a scrape. Ostriches also make a scrape. So a lot of these birds that live around the water's edge will typically nest down on the ground. Some of them nest like in the grass, pretty much just above the grass. And then other birds nest in holes in trees is what I was trying to say, like southern ground hornbills, even though they spend a lot of time on the ground. And you'd think they'd nest on the ground. They don't. They nest in the hollows of trees typically. Right, Craig, we might actually have to try and avoid this rain. We're going to have to try and move around. We might have to go a little bit further south to escape all this rain. And while we try and get there, I am going to send you to Brent, where it is nice and dry.
Well, I'm very happy Tayla's getting rained on and not me. I don't like being rained on at all. So, and Tayla's to the north of us, and she's getting lots of rain on Buffelshoek boundary. So, VM and I are very happy to stay dry and sit with our little chief Hosana. At the moment, he's still fast asleep. Not dreaming as much as he was a little bit earlier. So there we go. Fast asleep. Now, everyone remember, this is 100% live. You can send your questions through on Twitter with the hashtag #SafariLive if you would like to get your questions through to us. Now, if there are any people who have joined recently, we've been following this leopard since it was a few hours old. So we found his mom with a full belly full of cubs and left her at about 7 o'clock in the evening, and we went back at 5 o'clock the next morning, and she had 2 tiny little cubs that were about the size of a very big sausage. And it's incredible to see how much he's grown. He's just over 2 years old now, and we've been lucky enough to document his life from infant through to young adult. Now, we have been watching him dream. Every now and then you see his eyelids flutter and his lip curl slightly. Gem video, leopards don't normally make sounds when they dream. It wouldn't be very advisable because they would give away their position, not only to the potential prey that's around them, but also to potential predators such as lions or other leopards. Now, there's a big misconception that lions and hyenas are the biggest killer of leopards, but 75% of all leopard mortalities in this area is leopard on leopard. So leopards are actually the biggest killers of other leopards, and particularly boys of about Hosana's age. When they move out of their natal area, if they come across any cubs, they will kill them and often eat them. Now, at the moment, we're a little bit worried about Tlalamba because we think that Hukumuri might have killed that leopard cub. Oh, there we go. Woof, woof. Had a little bit of a twitch there. And you can see his paws twitching as he dreams slightly. Now, I have seen leopards dreaming and get so excited that they actually extend their claws, but he's not quite that excited yet, so he must be chasing a stenbok, not a buffalo, in his head. Very tired kitty. Now he is looking quite hungry, and we know he ate a scrub hare 2 nights. 2 nights ago, so he's definitely in need of a meal. Now, of course, the leopard diets at the moment are shifting heavily, with Hukumuri coming into the fore and Tingana sort of fading into old age. And if Tlalamba has been killed, yes, she would mate with both Tingana and Hukumuri and Djuma and Anderson and any other dominant adult male she can come across. So female leopards have a very interesting survival strategy when it comes to their cubs. So the only time a female leopard will leave her territory is to mate with another male, and she will sometimes move 3 or 4 territories over to mate with the male. So what happens is she mates with all the males that she has the slightest possibility of coming into contact with. All those males think that they are the fathers of the cubs. So it's very, very difficult to actually be certain of who is the dad of a leopard cub without actually doing genetic studies. And it is very interesting. So a female leopard will often mate with 3 or 4 males during her different estrus cycles, convincing each of them, oh, he's dreaming again, convincing each of them that they are the father of the cubs. And that way, the males are less likely to kill the cubs. Now, the main reason male leopards will kill cubs is because as soon as a female leopard loses her cubs, she comes immediately back into estrus, and the males will then start mating with her. Now, quite interestingly, oh, look what we've got on the dashboard here, Vimpy. Look at that. A little one of the grasshoppers. He's just sort of popped out of nowhere. Look at him. Now you can see with his coloration, and you would think the little red antennae on his head would make him stick out and make him an easier target for birds and whatnot. But if you ever look at grass carefully, the bottom's green, and then the seeding part of the grass is often either yellow or red or orange. So if he closes his legs and sits still on a stalk, he will actually blend in with the stalk, and his little antennae there will look like they are part of the grass, either a husking seed or a drying tip. Look at that. He is a very pretty little hopper. And our young prince is still fast asleep. Now, a very interesting question posed by Joe. Is Hosana's back to the wall for protection? I think not, Joe. I think it's probably more for comfort than anything else. What a leopard uses for protection is its ears, its eyes, its smell. So the hearing is incredibly acute. I just think he likes having a backrest. And you can see them do it with logs and sticks and stuff as well. It does work in his advantage, though, in case something does happen, if something does come across. But if anything, it's actually probably a little bit dangerous, because if another leopard was able to sneak up to him above the wall, would drop straight onto him. Oh, he's dreaming again. Look at that. Look at his little... Oh, shame. He's hungry. And in his mind, he's catching everything, but unfortunately, in reality, when he wakes up, he's going to have an empty belly. Oh. Now, Hosana, for his age, even though he's a decent-sized leopard, I don't think he's a particularly big leopard in comparison to other leopards I've seen around his age. So, Indiana, I think there is a combination of genetics and feeding as to how big they get. Because if you take some of the leopards that live in the Cape region of South Africa, a big male is already smaller than Hosana, and they only weigh about 40 kilograms. I think he's probably closing in on 60, and that is to do with food availability and food resource. So yes, food plays an important role, but as well genetics also play an important role. But I think Hosana is going to be a decent-sized leopard. I don't think he's going to be a monster leopard like Anderson or Campan. I think he'll probably be similar sized to Hukumuri or Tingana. Now, while young Hosana is taking advantage of his backrest, it sounds like Tingana has gone to sleep without one.
Yeah, just come north in the block. Now, sorry, I was just on the radio, just trying to get somebody into where we are, because it's quite difficult to get to where we are. It's not exactly easily seen from the road, so I'm hoping that they'll be able to spot us and find us. But Tingana is having a really kind of chill day. It's just starting to rain now. I don't know where the rain has come from, because we can see blue sky behind us, but there's a few spots of rain that are coming down, and I suppose perfect bed weather for him to just have a really easy day, relaxing and not moving around too much. So I don't think we're going to get too much more from Tingana. I think it's going to be a situation where he's going to spend the majority of his day trying to sleep in this kind of section and to try and kind of get a bit of rest in before he maybe moves around again this evening. Now, I don't know where these guys have gone. I need to just try and help them on the radio quickly. Yeah, Venom, do you see where that big torchwood is? So, I don't know. I think these guys are maybe not going to be able to find us if they don't answer the radio, which is okay. We'll try and help them just now. Sharon, the answer to that is we have absolutely no idea who his parents are. We have not been able to figure it out. Have you got a spider on you or a tick? It's a tick. No, look at that. So there's a tick that's busy moving around on Tingana's fur, going towards his ears. But Sharon, we have no idea who his parents are. He arrived here as a skittish young male in 2011, and not sure where or who or how he got here, and I don't think anyone's ever figured out who exactly his parents are. But he's that's what happens with males. It's often in dispersed areas where you don't know. It's like Hukumuri, we don't really know who his parents are. He's dispersed a long way. We also know that a number of the other males that we've seen here, we're not 100% sure who their parents are either, so it'll be interesting. But that tick is slowly but surely trying to worm its way along, and probably would like to get towards the ears, except that Tingana keeps flicking his ears, and so it's now probably going to try and find a little gap in the fur somewhere where it'll dig in, and then it's going to feed. And that tick hasn't fed yet. In fact, there's two ticks. You see there's another one on the back right there as well that's moving around, so kind of crawling with ticks at the moment. And this is what happens when they lie down in the grass, is they do pick up ticks like this. And yeah, that one is kind of burrowing through the fur, and they will start to latch on, and that's why leopards and lions groom as much as they do when they first kind of start getting going, or when they are waking up, is to try and get rid of all of these things that have crawled on them while they've been lying down. So poor Tingana is about to have 2 new additions to his body mass and 2 more leeches. 3, have you got another one now? So lots and lots of ticks from poor Tingana, and all the leopards do get this, or in fact all leopards. I mean, we've seen even the Nkahuma pride was covered in ticks the other day, and so it does happen, especially after a bit of rain. We start to see a lot of ticks around. So Tingana is going to be itchy around the back of his head. At some point, we'll probably see him scratching in those areas in a few weeks' time, or even probably in a few days' time, which will be quite interesting. But good, I think we're going to probably leave Tingana to himself. I think we're going to carry on and see what else we can find, given that he is a very, very sleepy boy. I don't see him waking up and giving too much to us, especially if he saw impalas just now and he just didn't really react to them. So I think we'll probably try and kind of move on and move away from this section. But I am going to have to try and get these people in, because I can hear that they are very lost. They are not heading in my direction at all. They are completely heading in the wrong direction, so that's not going to be ideal. So Tingana is sleepy like this. It sounds like Hosana is very much the same. But while we try and direct these people in, let's send you back across to Hosana, and hopefully he'll wake up shortly.
That makes sense. Tingana is in the same position as Tingana, Beckelis. I think you meant Hosana is in the same position as Tingana. But yes, he's still snoozing away. I think what we might do is let's go have a look at the hippos for him. Let's go have a look at the dam, see if there's anything around. And we'll stay close to where he is, but while he's snoozing, well, let him snooze away. But we will stay close by in case he gets moving. He tempted me there with a bit of movement. Just he tempted me there, but he is not moving. Some of Tayla's evil water droplets that fall from the sky have come in our direction slightly, but they seem to be okay for now. Just gonna pop around here. Oh, it is wonderful in front of Chitwa in the morning. Oh dear, it sounds like Tayla is really getting rained on, so let's go see how she's surviving.
Little bit. It's still drizzling. I believe Tristan is also being drizzled on at the moment. It's so nice. Who doesn't love a good drizzle? I just wish the rain would actually be harder than what it is at the moment, because it's pathetic. It's not really doing anything at all except annoying Craig because he's got to wipe the lens 300 times in a segment. So, okay, we're coming up to the only spot I know that there are always water back. But watch, today there won't be any water back here in the corner. There will be none. We are just having one of those unlucky game drives, so I apologize every time you come to me. Unfortunately, we're probably just going to have some chats, DNCs, so ask away. Perhaps there's a topic that you'd like to discuss, and I don't know. You go wild, all of you watching. Again, I'm sorry, I don't know why the animals are evading me. I think Tristan had a drive like that yesterday, although he had those really cute hippo, thankfully, but the hippos, they couldn't even swim away from him. He had them trapped in the dam. But every now and then you get these drives where the animals just don't want anything to do with you. Craig, you can wipe whenever you need to wipe. There you go. Give it a good old clean. And I've got my hood on. I'm trying to spare my hair. So it's hiding. Like I said, I'm not really wearing rain attire. We might even see Tristan. Maybe we'll go and find Tristan and have chats with him. Be exciting. Okay, down we go. Now, here's something we can chat about, and that's the insects. So, YT viewer, yes, we do have botflies here on Djuma. You occasionally see them. They're a nightmare. Flying around, all the animals laying their eggs on their legs. I did see more botflies down on the southeast coast. They would sort of hang around the wildebeest, and particularly on the blesbok, which is a type of antelope. They look like goats, like weird-looking goats. And then often in wildebeest, and particularly with blesbok and even bontebok, they seem to use them as hosts most frequently. Zebras too. Lay them on the eggs. Lay their eggs on their legs. No, I was trying to say, eggs and legs, get them confused. They're so close there, just a few letters short of one another. And as the animals naturally would, if they have an itch on their face, they would wipe on their legs. And those eggs will then be transferred into their nasal cavity, where it's the perfect temperature for sort of incubation of those botfly eggs, and then they hatch and they wriggle around. Now, those botflies don't stay there. You often see the animals doing this, or snorting and sneezing, trying to expel. Impalas are chasing one another. Let's see if impala are going to run towards us. I can hear them. And they'll do that to try and get rid of course, all the larvae once they've hatched. There have been a few reported cases where the larvae have actually gone up into the brain. Okay, watch it, Craig. Here they come. To the left. It's hard to maneuver. There's 3 impala chasing one another around. There's a whole herd of them. And so it begins. The craziness of the impala. Well, Felicia's using the wrong radio today. There they go. So, rutting season is about to begin here on the Sabi Sand with the impala. All fighting over the herds of females. Who's going to be the biggest? Who's going to be the strongest? Oh, look, there's a rainbow. Let's go see the rainbow. I'm going to do this, Craig, so we can see it nice and we don't have power lines. Well, I'm going to try. Here we go. You might see a little bit of the power lines because we are just off of Gowrie, Maine. But isn't that very pretty? Perhaps we will go in that direction. It looks like there may be a pot of gold. Where is that? Maybe on Quarantine. And I think that's where we will head, because we will head towards Quarantine. Ooh, right. It seems as though Hosana's dreams may come true, as some impala are walking above him.
Well, unfortunately for Hosana, the impala went the other way, disappearing. Let's have a look at, there we go, the hippos snorting and cavorting in the water. Oh no, they've disappeared in the last few seconds. Where are my binoculars? There's one of my favorite antelope actually, and we had a good view of them, and they've disappeared. There was some bushbuck right in front of Chitwa. I can't see where they've gone. Unless when we moved, they are now behind those rocks there, Vim. Maybe behind the rocks. You can hear the water thickness. Oh, Hassan is up. He's heard something. Hold on. Look at that. Vim, just before we move, just how cool is that? Look at him sneaking a peek over the wall. No. Is he bored again? Was there nothing to be had? But how cool is that? That was awesome. But he's gone down again. I just want to see if he does jump up. And let's put ourselves in the right position if he does jump up. Alicia says it looks like he might have been on a timeout staring at the wall, but I love that little peek. I just want to see what he might have heard, might have been looking at. Let's have a quick look from the top. There might be impala moving around at the bottom that we don't know about. Let's have a quick look from the top of the dam wall. If there's any potential pudding hiding behind. I'm not seeing anything. You seeing anything, Vimpy? Let's just carefully check, because there's always could be a nyala or bushbuck in these little thickets. But I'm not seeing anything. Ah, they're the bushbuck, Vim. They're the bushbuck on the other side of the dam. They were behind the rock, and we just had to change our position to see them. There we go. They are such pretty antelope, and it's always a treat to see them out in the open. And that is another treat, to listen to the sounds of the hippopotamus. Our grasshopper friend he's still hitching a ride. Still hasn't moved. Well, it seems like there's been a little ping that's gone off and all our leopards are starting to get up and mobile. Let's go back to Tingana.
Indeed, so Tingana is up and you can see he's moving, and that's because an impala started to alarm call, squirrels have started to alarm call, and so I think we might have another leopard somewhere close by here, or at least another predator, because all of a sudden there was just an absolute explosion, and Impala almost ran straight into Tingana as he was sitting sleeping. And they weren't shouting at him because he was having a very big nap, and the Impalas were shouting in this area, and you can hear the squirrels are going crazy. And this was before Tingana even arrived in this section. So I'm pretty sure that there is another leopard somewhere in this area. Whether it's right here, I'm not quite sure. Poor Franklin just got an absolute fright as Tingana kind of went through there. Now I'm going to try and just get round towards where Tingana's going, but it sounds like from all the sort of alarm calls, that there must be somebody else disturbing what's going on. Impalas don't really shout when they're cat predators. You'll find if it's something like dogs, they'll just get out of there, and they don't shout at hyenas very often, so it would be somewhat like another cat. And the fact that Tingana is investigating means he's warranted a kind of sort of thought that maybe, just maybe, there's somebody else in this area. Now, it could be one of many different leopards. We know it's not Hosana because obviously Brent is sitting with Hosana, so it could be Tundi, it could be Kuchava, it could be Tumba, it could be this one of the new males that are around. So difficult to say, but we're going to try and just kind of keep up. You can see Tingana is watching everywhere he goes. He's kind of watching what's happening and checking out just to make sure that he can pick up what's going on in this area. So it's interesting watching his behavior and watching him, the way that he moves. He's kind of circumspect about his kind of movements. As he goes, he'll look and he'll check, and then he'll walk again, and then he'll look and he'll check, and then he'll walk again. And so he's kind of always on alert. And look at his tail. You see how his tail is twitching? It's almost like he knows there's something else is around and that he's spotted. So that little tail is indicative of Tingana kind of seeing something and focusing on something. Their tail doesn't twitch like that unless they've seen something. Now, Tingana often holds his tail like this. It's quite interesting how all leopards hold their tails differently, but his tail almost folds into itself. So he has a very big twist in it when he walks. He likes to kind of have that sort of curl in it, and it'll often be twisted all the way around and almost touching itself again. And the reason why it's up at the moment and raised and not only twitching is because he's also telling all of these animals that are in these areas, listen, stop shouting at me. I know that I'm here. I know that you've seen me, but I don't want attention drawn to me. So that's why he'll try and kind of put that tail up as a white flag in order to say, leave me alone. But I'm going to try and reposition us a little bit, because obviously all we can see at this stage is his bum. So I want to try and see if we can just get in towards where his face is. So Susie, a leopard's pattern, there might be one or two little spots that might be similar to one of the adults or one of the parents, but generally no. So even with a situation where you've got a parental sort of unit that have mated and had cubs, you'll find that they don't always share similar spots. If you look at, let's hypothetically say Hosana and Shongile, they don't have a situation where they've got the wow across the forehead. So if it was a sort of thing about lineage, you'd find that they would have very similar spots. Although, I have seen one or two little spots that look very similar on the cubs of a female, but it's not something that's noticeable enough to actually say that it's 100% accurate that they will inherit spots from their parents. But you can hear there are a lot of alarm calls, even to the sort of eastern side of where we are. And so I don't think it's a situation where it's just Tingana here. I'm sure there's another leopard in this area, given how the birds are going crazy. Now, Alicia, yeah, I suppose out of the animals, it's not that they respect the fact that he's doing a white flag attempt. They just know that that leopard is not hunting them. So they see that white flag going up, and it's a signal to everybody around that he's there. So he's showing himself, and then the animals can kind of see him, alarm call at him, and watch him, and they kind of realize that he's not in hunting mode, because as soon as they can see him, they will alarm call at him. Whether his tail's up or not is irrelevant. It's just that tail up shows him to everybody and says, okay, I'm here, all right, you can see me now, leave me alone, and he can then walk off and kind of go into a different area. So that's why they show the white tail quite often. It's not actually to try and kind of get a situation where people are going to be like, well, I mean, not people, but other animals are going to sort of know that he's not hunting them in that way. It's just that he's making himself more visible so that they can kind of shout at him and then leave him alone, and he can then walk off and disappear. But you can see he's looking around. I'm 99% sure that there's another predator here somewhere. The reaction of the birds, the squirrels, the sort of alarm calls of the impala, all of those together is indicative of another leopard being in this area. Now, which leopard it is, who knows? It could be one of the skittish males that have come in over the past. I know that the other male that was seen very close to here a few nights ago is quite shy. He doesn't really like to be seen, and only at night have they actually really managed to see good sort of sightings of him. Otherwise, he kind of runs away. So it's going to be interesting to see what goes on. Good. Well, Tingana's still looking, smelling the breeze, and let's see how this plays out. Maybe we'll have another leopard on the scene, and while we wait for that, let's send you back across to Brent with some hippopotamus.
Well, we're still parallel to Hosana. He is as flat as a pancake, so we decided to just peruse the dam, see what's going on here. What are the hippos up to? Of course, we had the late night party hippo who came in and quite late this morning. I wonder if it got reprimanded by the rest of the hippos. Probably not. Beautiful. It was always just very peaceful sitting by the edge of the water, just enjoying the sounds. And quite often it's very nice if you're sitting next to a waterhole. And I'm going to ask you guys to try it at home, is to just close your eyes and listen to all the sounds for 30 seconds, 40 seconds. Now, unfortunately, it sounds like Chitwa's doing some maintenance while the guests are out, so there is a hammer at the workshop. But let's go have a look at some birds, VM. There's some cool birds just down the drag. Just make sure I can still see Hosana while I'm doing it. Now, only a lot of people... Oh, darn it. Oh, they're flying. We're quite surprised to see them. But if I remember in my early days here, we used to see them quite frequently. Buffalo's Hook, Tayla Dam, but the African darter. Lovely camera work for him. Here we go, African darter. With that long, curled, snake-like neck. And a very sharp beak that is used as a spear to spear fish. Now, I've actually been on numerous boat safaris in my day, and driven boat safaris on all sorts of places, the Okavango and whatnot, and I've had quite a few people seeing a darter swimming in the water think, oh, snake, 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 but of course it's not, it's just a darter fishing. Where are all the other birds today? Oh, we got one in the water there, VMP. What is it, little... Oh, well spotted. Oh, the green-backed. Or striated heron. Both names are correct. Squawk, squawk, squawk. Like most of the heron and egret species, not blessed with a good singing or even speaking voice. And there's a little bird right on the edge of the shore. There we got little three-banded one. Yes, little three-banded plover. There was a common sandpiper hopping around about earlier, but it seems to have disappeared. It was chased off by a pied wagtail, who's also done a disappearing act. I was also looking for the little crocodiles, although in the morning it's not the best time for the little crocodilians. They're probably not going to be lying out, they're going to be in the water somewhere. Near the hippopotamus. Hippos belong to their own family, muscle company. The hippopotamus family. So they belong to their own family. They are bulk grazers. There are 2 species of hippopotamus in the world. Oh, there we go. Hello, you lot. These hippopotamus, which are just called hippo, or hippopotamus, and the pygmy hippopotamus that lives in the rainforests of, mostly in Liberia and Sierra Leone in West Africa. And they are tiny in comparison to their savanna, or not savanna, but these hippo cousins. Oh, those impala are back. Are they going to walk into Hosana to try join the rest of the herd that's on this side of the dam? I have to keep a close eye on them. And Hosana, of course. I wonder if it's still raining where Tayla is, because the sun is bursting through the clouds and all sign of rain is disappearing with us. We're lucky. We had about 3 tiny little spits, but the raindrops were so small they evaporated when they actually hit us. So we're quite happy not to get wet, VM and myself. The blue sky is coming through. So I just got an update for everyone about Hukumuri. He might come visit us. He's not too far from our boundary at the moment, but he is still not inside. Where is that hippo? I mean, there's impala going. There were 2 on the dam wall now. Oh, there are still 2. They just merged into a one. It would look like one impala. But as I say, with Hosana and his activity during the day, it's definitely worth our while playing the patience game with him, and especially since there's so many different potential prey species around in this area. Now, of course, we've been trying to find the baby crocodiles that we often see in this little section. But, Susie, crocodiles are not really a big threat to hippos, even to baby hippos, because the females are fiercely protective. So, not a really big threat. A baby hippo that's abandoned by mom, yes, possibly. Then a crocodile might be considered a threat, but it's very unlikely. They sort of have an uneasy equilibrium. Well, I suppose it's actually not an equilibrium. It's the hippos. If you 2 come too close to me, I'll bite you in half equilibrium. So they tend to avoid hippos where they can. You can see hippos and crocodiles in close proximity, but again, there's that sort of, I suppose it's an uneasy truce. As long as crocodiles don't cross the line, the hippos definitely set the rules and the boundaries, not the other way around. I was hoping with the sun coming out we might spot one of the little crocs, but no luck yet. So those impala are starting to head down the dam wall again, but we're going to, while we wait for them to get a bit closer, let's send you quickly across to Tayla.
We actually have some content in the form of a hornbill. I'm going to go too close because I'm going to chase it away. It's an African grey hornbill with a wormy. Delicious. That looks like quite a nice juicy snack. I think it's a worm. I don't think it's a millipede. I think it looks a little bit too flexible. I'm bashing it to try and kill it. Maybe it's a hairy caterpillar because it seems to be rubbing it up against that branch too. Try and get rid of some of those hairs. And when it is satisfied that it is dead, it is going to throw it back into its mouth, and we are going to watch it eat it. Must be a hairy caterpillar. Very clever, these birds, don't you think? They know that it's not going to be good for them and cause them some irritation in their mouth. Oh, careful. Well done. Almost lost it, but a great recovery. We haven't been seeing too many of the African grey hornbills. I've just been hearing them when they call, and often can get confused and think that they are perhaps a raptor. They've got a very sort of high-pitched call, like some of the raptors do. It was a very nice sighting. Yay, another one. So we have seen so far on the safari 3 hippos, 1 grey heron, African grey hornbill, and what was the first one? 3, did I say 3 banded plover? Now we can add crested francolin to the list, and a rainbow. It says Felicia. Rebecca's new name is now Felicia, in case you were wondering why I'm calling her that. Hello? Remember I said to you yesterday, I'm going to show you every crested francolin that I see. That's the first one for the morning. Actually, no, I did see some, but they flew off and hid away. So we'll go up and see if we can find them again. It's a nice tree. That there leadwood could house many different animals. Okay, who's next? Who wants to be seen next? Anybody? Any takers? This is the point where a pack of wild dogs should arrive. Hey, Craig. We have got 1 hour and 10 minutes before the game drive finishes. Will I be able to find something? And because I'm being so cheeky to the directors today, they've said that I'll be doing a 1 hour and 10 minute solo. So who's ready to see nothing? Me? Now we're going to go towards Vuyatela Dam now. Is anyone found anything interesting on the dam cam that we can perhaps have a closer look at? We will drive onto the dam wall and have a little look around and see what we can find. I think we're going to see an Egyptian goose. I think we're going to see a blacksmith lapwing. I think we may see a no, I don't think we're going to see a kingfisher. I take that back. I think we're going to see a turtle dove, perhaps coming down for a drink, maybe even a Birchall starling, because they've been fluttering about today as well. Oh, are you going to sit still? Sorry, Craig. White crested helmet trites to add to the list this morning. Thank you very much for sitting still for 2 seconds. Very obliging birds, those ones. And you can see, we got it though. We definitely got it. And check on the ground for any interesting little things. Just go away. Quick link to Brent.
Wrong radio. I just called for a quick link. Oh, sorry. Hosana is such a dozy cat. The impala ran straight past him and he didn't even wake up. And they were so close to him. I thought I picked up the wrong radio. When I asked Rebecca for a quick link, I thought I'd sold the game drive radio for a quick link. But let's go see little Hosana. The impala ran straight past him. He did not even lift his head. Silly boy. I mean, he's hungry, but he can't be that hungry if he passes up a free meal like that. Well, I suppose it wasn't free. He still had a bit of work to do. And there we go. You can see he didn't even move a muscle. He's got himself still using that lovely backrest of his. And impala ran straight past him. And he did not even raise an eyebrow. Okay, I just have to be on the game drive radio for a second. Peter, it was impala alarm calling around Yagi Pan. So there we go. We'll have a quick closer look at him now. But he didn't even notice those impala come past. There's still a huge amount of prey available not too far away, but he is just snoozing. Here he is, still in, well, almost the same spot. Now, of course, unfortunately, Kruger disappeared and has probably moved on to the next, almost certainly moved on to the next plane. Akisha, if Kruger was still around, Hosana would be an incredible pain for her, because what he would do is he would, like Quarantine Konuma did, they'd often follow her around and steal her kills at this age. So she would probably be behaving quite aggressively towards him, hissing, snarling, trying to say, "Go away, you're too old to be at home." But in certain circumstances, young males will stay with their mother a lot longer than young females, for example. Come on, boyo. And the fact he's... Our leopard is completely stationary. It sounds like Tayla's got something on the move through the grass.
We did have a little spider hunting. Well, it wasn't a little one, it was actually massive, but it has now flown off. It's helicoptered out of here. These little critters did not helicopter anywhere, though. It's our friends, the dwarf mongoose. Hello. Where are your other friends that are living in this termite mound? Oh, there's another one. Underneath a Weltheria. That's a very nice mound because there's a nice dam close by. Not that I think that they'd be racing off to the water's edge to drink. I would imagine that they'd just lick dew off of the leaves and off of the grass in order to get moisture. It'd be very dangerous if they went down to the water's edge. And I can hear their friends, the yellow-billed and red-billed hornbills, but I can't see any of them. They're sitting behind us. You hear them? I'm probably listening to what the hornbills have to say today. Something else that I haven't seen, that I've only ever really read about, and I would like to see it, so I'm adding this to my bucket list, is to see the big plated lizards feasting on all the feces of the dwarf mongoose, the housekeepers, I suppose they are, keeping the mounds nice and clean. I'd like to see the interaction between a mongoose and a lizard, or do the lizards wait for the mongoose to go out on an adventure, searching for something to eat, foraging, and then they come in when they're not around, kind of like what happens at a lodge. It's amazing. It's magic. You go out on your safari and you've turned your room upside down, you come back and it's like brand new again. You don't even see anybody. I suppose that's what probably what the lizards are like. But not racing out to explore on this very gloomy day, although it seems to be warming up a little bit better, which is quite nice. There's another little mongoose. Looks like a little pup that's come out now. Hello. He's so small. Very cool. And we're not far from the dam cam, or from Vuyatilla Dam. We're sort of on the dam wall. Some of you may be spying on me already. I'll try to do secret hand signals to you. Isn't that cool? There were lots more, but I don't know where they're all gone. They're shy. They don't want to come out and say hello, which is a pity. But it is important that, of course, they do keep an eye out around the mound. Oh, there's another little head popping out. Because there have been lots and lots of eagles and things flying around lately. Now, I agree with you, Daniel, all the way from Scotland. They are awesome to watch. They're funny little creatures, and especially after the sighting I had the other day. I mean, I want to try and sit with them and see what they get up to more often, and that's why I'm looking forward to winter, because at least with winter the grass it tends to disappear. Well, not all of it, but it definitely gets shorter, being munched on by all the animals, so we can see them a lot better. The dwarf mongoose sightings are few and far between now, unless they're out on the sandy road, or perhaps sitting high up on a mound like this. There's really no chance to be able to view them. They're funny little things, though. I'd like to see more cool interactions with a mongoose. Now, wisteria, I don't know if they're staring at me because I'm, staring at them. And maybe they are interested in me. I think they're listening to me, the sound of my voice. Probably just wondering, what on earth are you? Why are you not leaving us alone? They seem to be a little bit nervous. Otherwise, they would have gone out and foraged. They wouldn't have bothered to keep watching us, but they've all got their eyes fixed on us. And maybe they can see Craig's strange silhouette too. With a camera protruding quite high out from the top of the car would look a little bit strange to them. Oh, they're so precious. They're so sweet. But you don't want to have a mongoose as a pet, though, because they scent mark everywhere. It's not very nice. Even the males will, the dominant male, because remember there's just one dominant pair within a colony of mongoose. Even the male will actually scent mark on the other members of the colony, so that when they are out and about and they all come back at night, there's no other sneaky mongoose that have tried to join the family. So they all smell the same, which is quite cool, in fact. Sort of keeping tabs on them. They all wear the same fragrance. Well, each colony has their own unique scent, and the male will make sure that no, imposters are trying to join the group. Anyways, let's go back to Brent. It seems as though Hosana, maybe he's woken up, I'm not too sure, but I heard something about scent marking.
Well, somebody is obviously very, very confused because you're not with Brent, you're with me, and our Tingana has not woken up. So it's a situation where we still got Tingana just sitting, watching, listening, starting to fall asleep, really. There's no more alarm calls that we can hear. I have no idea if this leopard is kind of passed us by. I think it must have, because it's gone quiet. The alarm calls lasted for quite a while, and then everything started to go quiet again. So I think if there was another leopard here, it must have passed through. Maybe it's the one that potentially is going to where Brent is that he was talking about. Siddharth, most definitely female leopards mark their territory. They have to. Otherwise, they're going to have multiple other females coming into their area and stealing their food and their den sites and all kinds of other things. So they need to make sure that they mark their territory and keep their kind of places all sorted out and keep other females at bay. Now, interestingly enough, we just got an update now of that female with the 2 cubs on Buffel's hook. She sounds like she's got a kill just on Buffel's hook, and that Djuma is with her. So Djuma is definitely a dad of 2 cubs, which is quite interesting. We don't see him mating very often or anything like that, but we can now say for sure that he has got cubs because he's sitting with them on a carcass, and apparently the hyenas have just come in and stolen that carcass, which is not ideal. But at least there are 2 little leopards on Buffel's hook, and I'm sure it's the same leopard cubs that were seen the other day just north of our boundary, on the Buffel's hook kind of boundary. So it's very cool to hear that there's a female doing well there, and hopefully there'll be a situation where we'll end up with another kind of couple of leopards coming into the area, and maybe another female kind of in this section, and who knows what that kind of leads to. So it's going to be interesting to kind of see how that plays out. Hopefully we'll have a situation where it all kind of works out pretty well, and we get some more leopards added to the mix. But I don't know if we knew if Djuma was a dad before. Was he? Does anyone know if he's had cubs before, or that we've confirmed that he's had cubs before? And it seems like his female's done quite well, because those cubs are probably about 8-9 months old. So she's done all right with them, and I don't know if they're males, but it sounds like it's just complete pandemonium there with sort of leopards all over the place, and males and females and cubs running all around, and hyenas, and just the usual chaos that happens when multiple leopards join forces.